Are we really live?
We know we were a much better team and we came up and represented ourselves.
That's what we call a sack lunch.
Nom, 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 nom.
What's up, everybody?
You're so damn loud. That's the
I
intro
am.
I've been waiting for.
Yeah, I needed to bring it back at least once. What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Sac City Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by my best friend in the whole entire world. He is Aaron, the Mukesiah Mukes. It is a beautiful December 9th morning here in the city. Week 14 has come and gone. Week 15 is on the horizon. We are going to break down all of, well, not all of it, because there's just some games that don't matter. It's really
As much as we can.
Yeah, we'll break down what matters, okay, and we'll look ahead to the games that matter in Week 15. I got to be honest, Aaron. Can I one-on-one
It'd be a
here?
first. It'd be a first time you were ever honest.
That's true. My wife says the same thing all the time. I want to do the whole spiel of asking you how you're doing and all that stuff, and I do care about that. I do.
No, the hell with you, because I was on TikTok Live for 2 weeks talking fantasy football without you, and you were on a boat somewhere, like you were on the Titanic somewhere, like Jack Dawson or something from 1999 or whatever that damn movie came out.
Exploring the world.
While I was here doing all the work. So I just have to say, I don't really care for you to ask me how I'm doing. The fact of the matter is, I'm not doing well.
Is that because? I'm
hurt inside. I'm hurt inside, not only because my fantasy football, my dynasty team lost for a playoff spot, but because of the way it happened. My quarterbacks died, both of them. How you in a super flex league start the day favored to win by like 70 points, and then all of a sudden nobody performs and your quarterback dies? I had Jaden Daniels, he finished with 3 points. Yep. And then I had Tyrod Taylor just as a filler, and I could have played anybody else. Like I had guys on my bench. I think I had Woody Marks on my bench. I could have played Kenneth Gainwell on my bench. I could have played Blake Corum on my bench. Just anybody in that super flex spot, and I come away with the win. And instead, I lose because both of my quarterbacks died. Both of them.
Yeah. I know your pain a little bit because in my work league, on my work league team, I have Jaden Daniels and I have Zach Ertz, and both those guys just went. And then on my bench, I have Daniel Jones, who also went.
Keyword was on your bench. I lost to a team that started 3 tight ends. How do you lose to a team that starts 3 tight ends? I don't even know.
Well,
Pat Fryermuth, Dalton Kincaid, and Colston Loveland.
That's tough. That really. Well, I mean,
I lost to a team that started DJ Moore, who had 0.6 points, Josh Downs and as 6 points as their starting receivers, and Emmanuel Wilson as a starting running back. How is that possible? And Isaiah Pacheco.
One of the things that I love about you, buddy, is that you make the impossible possible, and that is just one example of you making it happen.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. Anyways, let's move on.
So we're live on TikTok right now, as well as Facebook and YouTube. Please go like and subscribe those platforms there. We're also on Instagram at the Sac City Pod. Be sure to tell your friends that the Sac City is back. The Sac is. I don't want to say the Sac is back. I don't like that.
My Sac's never left.
Nope, we're not doing this. Be sure to like and subscribe on all of our social media platforms at Sac City Pod. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and TikTok. We're live on all those platforms as we speak. We're going to break down Week 14, look ahead to Week 15. For everyone listening on TikTok, though, I think it's a good move for us to implement our fantasy life to everybody. If you have start-sit questions, if you have fantasy questions, just drop them in TikTok. We'll sporadically throughout the show answer them. Obviously, it's not going to be right away. We're going to talk about Week 14, talk about some games and things like that. But we will go. We'll go with your questions as the show goes along. We have questions in the YouTube. It's great. We're blowing up right now. But Aaron, there's one spot that we have to talk about. One spot we have to start off with, and I said to you in the pre-show meeting that it was going to be a funeral for the Kansas City Chiefs, that we need to have the funeral, the proper burial for the Kansas City Chiefs, who lost the Houston Texans 20-10. They fall to 6-7. Their 9 straight division title streak is over. They don't have a shot anymore to win the AFC West. They have their most losses in a season under Patrick Mahomes since 2018. This team is 1-4 in the past 5 games. Their playoff hopes are dwindling. You said it wasn't a funeral, though, and I'm concerned because I think you're starting to really toe the line between your worship of Patrick Mahomes and insanity.
Worship. As you can see, Patrick Mahomes right here. Listen, does it look good? Absolutely not. But one thing I told you I refuse to do, I refuse to bury a team like the Kansas City Chiefs until they're completely eliminated mathematically. And obviously it doesn't look good. But when we start throwing the words as like funeral out, they're dead. That means it's over. And yes, does it look bleak? Absolutely. But some of these teams we've talked about have some tough schedules down the stretch. Specifically, look what's happened with the Indianapolis Colts. They now are looking at a 44-year-old quarterback to try to come in and do something. Daniel Jones out for the year. I anticipate them falling backwards. Houston and Jacksonville still have games against each other. There's a lot of division games there, so a lot could still happen. Houston's win over KC was big because now Kansas City doesn't have the tiebreakers, and I think that's ultimately what the biggest thing is here. Jacksonville, the Chargers, and now Houston all have tiebreakers over Kansas City. I think that is the biggest thing we're looking at here, but I don't want to say it's completely over until it's completely over. Jacksonville has played really well. Down the stretch, they have the Broncos still. They have to go to Denver. That's a lot. That could be a loss. Obviously, to the Colts, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, now with Daniel Jones being out, I anticipate Jacksonville being able to find a way to get in. Same with Houston. But again, until they're mathematically dead, I'm not going to call them dead. If they went out and they go 10-7, or what is there? What are they now? 6-7. So if they went out and go 10-7 and miss the playoffs because of a tiebreaker, I could see that happening. But to call them dead means there's no hope. And I'm not ready to say that there's just no hope yet. But it is unlikely.
I did say that you have to be 10 wins at least to make the playoffs in the AFC. So technically they're not dead yet. From what I have been on record to say, they finished the season with the Raiders, the Broncos, the Titans, and the Chargers. They've got to win out. I mean, those are all that they have to win every game there. I mean, the Chargers are still fighting. The Chargers are still trying to hold on to their playoff hopes.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So I would say that's their best chance of getting in now, right? What if the Chargers lose out, which is very possible, right? You're looking at, this is probably the hardest schedule remaining, at Kansas City, at Dallas, Houston at home, and then at Denver. It is it's possible the Chargers lose out. If that happens, KC get in over Denver or over the Chargers as the number 7 seed.
Yeah,
if Kansas City wins out.
If the Chargers lose out, then yeah, I think that's definitely. It's hard to. If the Chargers, the thing is, you look at the Chiefs' schedule, though. I mean, like, I can see them losing to Denver, and I can see.
I'm not saying they can't lose. I'm not saying they can't lose. Obviously, the Chiefs have to win out. We know that.
Yeah.
But if the Chiefs win out, to me, their easiest path is to say, okay, the Chargers have to lose out because they cannot tie any of those other teams.
Yeah, I think that it's a win out and lose out for the Chargers, and the rest of the standings. Though that's the other thing I have to question, because they're not just battling the Chargers for it. I mean, there's still Indianapolis is still in there, but obvious the fact that Philip Rivers led Indianapolis Colts.
We wouldn't worry about Indy because that's the only team that they beat, right? So they beat Baltimore, so they have the tiebreaker over Baltimore. They have the tiebreaker over Indianapolis. Those are the only other 2 teams they would really be fighting for. I don't think anybody believes in Miami.
So they don't.
But
the Chiefs don't have the tiebreaker over Baltimore.
They beat Baltimore.
No. So based off ESPN, I'm just looking at ESPN right now. ESPN has Baltimore over Kansas City, and the reason
That's
is
because it's a three-way tie.
wins tiebreaker over Kansas City and Miami based on best win percentage in conference games.
Yeah,
That was what the
that's because it's a three-way tie. I'm saying if it's a two-way tie between Baltimore and Kansas City for that last spot, it's going to go to Kansas City. Now, if another team gets to 10 wins, then you have to bring in the third tiebreaker. But that's only because they're tied with Miami as well. Miami has 6 wins as well right now.
And Baltimore's schedule to finish the season is not very favorable as well. I mean, they'll play the Bengals with Joe Burrow back. We saw the Bengals put up a big fight this week against the Buffalo Bills. Then they host the Patriots, travel to Green Bay, and finish the season in Pittsburgh. So it is possible that I can see where you're coming from when you say that the Chiefs are not dead yet, but they're on life support. Not to get too dark, but they are on life support. It is not looking great. I mean, I did this. I posed this question to you 2 weeks ago when we were talking about. I believe it was about the Chiefs in general. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the Chiefs, but specifically when you look at this Kansas City team, again, 1-4 in their past 5 games, they have not looked good. What do the Chiefs have to do? What stands out to you that says if the Chiefs are going to win out and have any hope in this, what do the Chiefs have to do? Other than winning football games, easy answer. Specifically on the field, X's and O's, what do the Chiefs need to be doing better?
Well, they got to execute in the moments. We're talking about, even look at last week against Houston. The second half was dominant from their defense against Houston. Obviously, the fourth down call by Andy Reid was a little questionable, the way the defense had been playing. But you look down the stretch, Rashee Rice, big drop on fourth down. Travis Kelce, 2 big drops. This is a team we're not used to seeing drop passes in the critical moments. And it feels like Patrick Mahomes is trying to play Superman, and nobody else around him is really helping him with catching passes and making the plays when it matters most. When in the past, they've always been the team that made the plays, and it's not happening now. That's the difference in these games. They're not getting blown out. They're not. They go through phases where they're a little bit stagnant, but they were moving the ball fine. They just aren't making the plays when they matter most. And then the has been big for not penalized very heavily. They've been penalized on critical downs. They can't get off the field on third down. Those things make a difference. But the defense played about as good as you can play in the second half against Houston. And they still were unable to get a win because of the critical mistakes down the stretch. So this is a team that's used to winning. They've always found ways to win. And for whatever reason, this year, it's just not happening. And, I think for everybody to react the way they're reacting, it's kind of interesting to me because we are so quick to prey on a team's downfall that's been so good for so long. And regardless of what this season holds, whether they finish strong and get in the postseason or whether they don't and they fail to miss the playoffs this year, are we really going to come back next year and be like, man, the Chiefs don't have a chance?
Well, I honestly, I thought I saw someone say today that if the Chiefs miss the playoffs, we need to see big roster moves and a roster shakeup for the Chiefs. And I was like,
the dynasty over because of one bad season. But but next year we would have a whole different conversation again. In the context of right now, people can say that. But when you look at this, I always say take the big picture approach and look at this 10 years from now. If this one season the Chiefs don't make the playoffs and don't make a run, and then next year they're back in the playoffs, fighting for AFC championships and going to Super Bowls, in 10 years from now, we're not looking at this one season and saying their dynasty was over. We're saying it was a bad season, but this dynasty run was however long. So I'm just not as quick to have those emotions of it's over, the sky is falling. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Andy Reid. Brett Veach has done a good job keeping talent, finding ways to acquire talent. Steve Spagnuolo is still there. This is a team that's going to be around as long as those guys are there. So I'm not as crazy, I guess, as everybody else is.
Fair. No funeral yet, but the flowers have been ordered. Let's just go with that.
They're looking at headstones.
Yeah, they're what? Just I don't mean to continue on this, but what would be written on the gravestone on that tombstone for the Chiefs if they miss the playoffs? Here lies the Kansas City Chiefs.
In my oh man, I didn't even think about that.
Here lies the Kansas City Chiefs. The Lord and Savior was not enough to get us in the playoffs.
Oh no! That's too much. Again, it's too dramatic for one season. I'm a big picture guy. I'd probably put some funny line about the Terminator and then talking about I'll be back or we'll be back or something like that. Because I don't buy this is the end of the Chiefs dynasty. I just don't buy it. I buy that the season might be over. That I'm 100% willing to accept, but I don't buy this is the end of the Chiefs dynasty. I just don't see it.
All right. Fantasy question in the chat again for all of us, all of those listening on TikTok or watching on TikTok, watching on YouTube. We will be dropping these. We'll be answering fantasy questions as the show progresses. Talking about week 14, talking about week 15. We do it all. Okay, we literally do it all for you. From Jonathan in the chat on YouTube, got the bye week in his fantasy playoffs, trying to grab Jacoby Brissett as a backup for Patrick Mahomes. Who would you drop between Sharbs, Jaden Higgins, or one of the Giants running backs in Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy?
It's easy for me. It's Higgins. Just not consistent enough. Keeping the running backs just because of the versatility of having injuries at the running back position. I like to go into the postseason with some flexibility there at the running back position. I imagine Jaden Higgins, if you're starting him at any point, it's as some deep flex start right now because if he's one of your top 3 wide receivers, you're probably in trouble anyways. So Jaden Higgins, easy for me. I do like the way his usage has been used though lately. He's definitely got more PT, but Houston's just they're a Nico Collins reliant team right now. That's their go-to guy. They're still trying to run the ball heavy. Woody Marks has been really good, so I just can't trust Jaden Higgins on a week-to-week basis right now. But very, very bright future. That was a good pick by them. So
yeah. Do you like the move to go get Jacoby Brissett as the backup for Patrick Mahomes when you're entering the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, I like the phrasing there too as a backup. Brissett's been high volume guy. If for whatever reason Mahomes goes down or something, then you go to Brissett and you know at least one thing with Brissett, you're gonna get the volume. And then let that kind of play out. He didn't have his best game this past week, but he had been performing, and Brissett's going to throw the football. Cardinals are going to throw the football. Hey, kitty.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's nice that you have the bye week there as well because the Cardinals play Houston this week. That's not going to be great. But then you look at Jacoby Brissett. If you have to play him over Patrick, if something were to happen to Patrick Mahomes, you have Atlanta and Cincinnati to finish out your fantasy playoffs there. So those are 2 good matchups for Jacoby Brissett. If you need to go there, if Patrick Mahomes were to have something happen. Back into the Week 14 reaction we go. Let's talk about the Colts and Jaguars. If you can, what's the word? Not entertain me. If you can, whatever the word, words are hard. Colts, Jaguars. Jaguars are able to defeat the Colts 36-19. Daniel Jones goes down. Now he's out for the season. Jags were able to capitalize on that one 36-19 in a massive AFC South showdown. Now the AFC South really runs through Jacksonville. If they were to if anyone wants to go for that crown, it runs through Jacksonville. Okay?
Oh, it does.
It runs through Jacksonville. Yeah.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay.
Although I am scared to say that Houston's really good. Houston scares the shit out of me.
It runs through Jacksonville, though, guys. 2 weeks ago, this guy was jumping off a cliff, but now it runs through Jacksonville.
That's what I need to come in here and talk about.
Apologize. First, apologize.
I do. I want to apologize to Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not saying I was wrong for my thoughts. I won't say that. I was right to say what I said, but I will apologize to Trevor Lawrence, and more specifically, I want to praise Liam Cohen for what he has done with Trevor Lawrence over the past 5 or 6 weeks since the trade deadline, I should say.
You're
back-to-back games, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is playing phenomenal football. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do, and I think Liam Cohen has simplified this Jacksonville offense to where Trevor Lawrence doesn't have to be like what you had just said with the Chiefs. He doesn't have to be Superman. He doesn't have to go out there and put the team on his back and lead the charge. He just has to be that game man. That I'm sorry to call it this. He has to be that game manager who steps up when he needs to. And Trevor Lawrence has stepped up when he needs to, and he has managed the game properly over the past few weeks. They've been red hot. I think, man, I like the Jags, man. I like the Jags.
Why is game manager such a negative connotation around that?
I don't think it is.
Most quarterbacks in the NFL are game managers. Most of them are. There are few quarterbacks that really take little talent and make them exceptional. That's not something that's very common. So the term game manager is not anything bad. I hear that all the time. Well, they can't just overcome a bunch of deficiencies. Most quarterbacks can't. There might be 3 or 4 in the NFL that overcome deficiencies, right? A bad offensive line, no receivers, no running game. A few guys can do that. The majority of good to great quarterbacks are a product of what's around them, managing the game. Tom Brady was a game manager. People do not realize that. Like, people say he's the GOAT, which nobody's arguing that. But he wasn't the GOAT because of his immaculate arm talent and the things he would do. He managed the game better than any quarterback that had ever done it. He was a game manager, and he's the greatest of all time. So this notion of game manager being a negative thing it's really perplexing to me. Trevor Lawrence, has he been great? No. But you're right. He's done exactly what they've needed to do to get them where they're at. Has he had bad games? Sure. Just like every other quarterback in the NFL. We can point to every quarterback and look at a game and say, man, he threw 3 picks. Man, he did not play well. Liam Cohen has made this. Look at the turnaround from this year to last year. Just look at the team as a whole. Dude. It's a different Jaguars team. And 2 weeks ago, it was still the same Jaguars team as it is now. You guys, Jags fans, just are so used to being so pitiful and awful outside of one season in 2017 that you guys don't know how to accept having a good team.
We didn't have a show last week because I was, traveling the world, but it was that was the Titans week, the Titans game. And I went into that Titans game and I told everyone, I was like, this is a trap game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Tennessee Titans on the road, AFC South. Like, the old Jaguars would have lost that game. And I think it's safe to say right now, and you can come at me all you want, this is not the same Jacksonville team we are used to seeing. This culture is starting to change. I think that.
Why would I come at you? I've said that since day one. Like, you guys just need to chill out.
I think that's where we're at. I think I'm not like all in on Trevor Lawrence again. I was all in on Trevor Lawrence and really defended him so much before. I'm not going back to that side, but I will say that I was wrong about this defense. They're very opportunistic. They make plays when they have to, and that's all you can ask for. Trevor Lawrence, same thing on the offensive side of the ball. He's making plays when he has to, and they're winning football games, and that's what you want. If you were to ask a Jaguars fan last year, hey, you guys are going to be – do you think you guys can win 9 games next season? I thought 8 games was probably the line for the Jaguars this year. And they're already at 9-4 with a schedule that is now looking even better with Daniel Jones being out and possibly Phillip Rivers either backing up Riley Leonard or starting games for the Colts. Like, they play
let me ask you a question.
They play the Jets, the Colts, the Jets, the Broncos, and the Titans. Like, that should be 3, if not 4 wins right there, and the Jaguars finished with 13 wins. If you would tell the Jaguars fans that you were going to finish with 13 wins at the beginning of the season, I would have called you crazy.
Well, calm down on saying you're going to win 13 games already. You see, this is what you do. You're already now. You have them winning out and going to the Super Bowl and shit. Just calm down.
No.
Do this really quick. Where would you rank Trevor Lawrence amongst the 32 starting quarterbacks? Just blind without counting them out. Where do you have him?
I had this conversation literally 2 weeks ago, and I put him at like 24, 25.
That's insane. You are insane. Okay. We're going to play that game. We're going to play this game. We're going to play a game real quick. We're going to just start. Let's start AFC first. Bo Nix or Trevor Lawrence?
I had Bo Nix.
Okay, Drake May or Trevor Lawrence? I would assume you have Drake May.
Drake May.
Aaron Rodgers now or Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence.
Justin Herbert, I would assume you have Justin Herbert. We'll give you Josh Allen. We'll give you C.J. Stroud. Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence?
Well, Daniel Jones is physically inactive. He's not able to play. So
Daniel Jones healthy or Trevor Lawrence?
I would have taken Daniel Jones healthy over Trevor Lawrence.
bro. You lost me.
I think that's the line.
Ridiculous.
I think that's the line.
Absolutely
I don't think
ridiculous.
it's like a big gap.
Stop. Lamar, Mahomes, Tua, Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
I would take Tua over Daniel Jones. So I don't know. Joe Burrow, I'll give you. The Jets don't have a quarterback, so we're just going to leave that alone. Cleveland Browns don't have a quarterback. So that's 4 teams right there. Vegas, Geno Smith or Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Cam Ward or Trevor Lawrence. Stop. Okay, we're moving on.
Throwing out like Cam Ward or any of those types of guys, you'd have to get more specific with the question. Like, are we talking like just because like if I'm trying to start a team for like the future, I would consider Cam Ward over Trevor Lawrence.
Why? What have you seen from Cam Ward that says that?
But it's not what I've seen from Cam Ward. It's what I have seen from Trevor Lawrence, and I don't think that you can
what have you seen from Cam Ward that gives you the hope that
take the shot? I'd be willing to take the shot. I'm not
even going to move to the NFC because it's kind of pointless at this point.
Move to the NFC. Let's go.
No,
come on, bring it on.
It's pointless. It literally is pointless. You went from being logical to speaking just as a fan who has to watch Trevor Lawrence play every week.
I just have to be honest with it because I'm not going to get wrapped up. The thing is not honesty. That's your bias in the reverse. I was concerned about Trevor Lawrence before when they had that loss against Houston. I was concerned about Trevor Lawrence, and obviously they've been able to win a lot of games. They're 4-1 since the trade deadline. They're finding ways to win, and they've turned Trevor Lawrence into exactly what he needs to be, and that's that game manager. Go out and make plays. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's 20, 25, somewhere in that range.
I don't understand how you can say don't have faith based on a game or a game or 2 or 2 years or whatever, but you can on the same hand turn to a quarterback that has done nothing and say you would take them over him. That has done nothing.
Based off potential.
Nobody had more potential than Trevor Lawrence coming out of college.
Yeah, we're not, but we're so
why
past
are you
that. We're so past that.
That's my point. So why are you basing it on potential when you've already seen that potential means
because we're
nothing?
not past the potential of guys like Cam Ward.
You haven't seen anything from him. So how do you say that?
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything on either side of Cam Ward.
You've seen bad. He hasn't been good. I mean, where has he been good?
He's shown flashes. So
so Trevor Lawrence never shows flashes.
He shows
2
flashes.
years ago, Trevor Lawrence had one of the best seasons, his best season, arguably. Right? Did he not have his best season 2 years ago?
I'm not getting into that 2 years ago team. What was that? 20? That was the team that went to the AFC Championship against Chiefs or AFC Division run against Chiefs.
So why does that not count?
It doesn't. I don't think he was that good.
But see, this is my point.
Even then,
what?
Even then, I don't think he was that good.
How do you say that?
I just said it. I don't think he was that good. I think he was.
He threw 25 touchdowns, had 8 picks. That was his best season by far. And you're saying he wasn't that good. And you had a shit defense. Your defense wasn't good then. He had that year he had his best completion percentage, most touchdowns, least amount of interceptions.
So where would you have Trevor Lawrence? Somewhere
probably between 18 and 20.
Okay, so I said 20 to 25.
To me, I would take honesty. And this is all things created equal, right? I'm not looking at the team they're on. I'm looking at quarterback, all things over guys like Tua Tagovailoa. I would have him over guys like Brock Purdy. I would have him I feel like Trevor Lawrence has not had the opportunity to think about the situations he's been in, how many coaches he's had to play for. And now his first year under Liam Cohen, still learning Liam Cohen's system, and Liam Cohen's gotten them to where they are. I'm not saying he's playing great. Obviously, there are things he can do better. But to me, it is so important for quarterbacks to have continuity and stability. And he's never had that in Jacksonville. And you can blame Trevor Lawrence all you want, but I've watched way too many quarterbacks with, quote, potential be in bad situations and get into the right situation and make things happen. Case in point, how's Geno Smith looking?
Not great,
Shit.
Bob. Not great.
Shit. The first part of his career gets to a place that had culture, stability, like just everything around him was better. He played well. He moves to a team that doesn't have culture. The stability hasn't been there. And now look what he looks like. He doesn't look like the Geno Smith from Seattle. That matters. And so I think that Sam Darnold was the same way. I think we give
and same with Daniel Jones. We talked about Daniel Jones too.
Too much credit and too much blame to the quarterbacks. And I think Trevor Lawrence is just a byproduct of that. I'm not saying he's the guy that they drafted him to be, but I also don't think he's one of the worst 8, 9, 10 quarterbacks in the league, because there are some bad quarterbacks with bad quarterback play that couldn't have this team at 9-4. Sorry, I hate to tell you.
20-25.
You put Daniel Jones on the Jags right now, I guarantee they're not 9-4.
I disagree. I think that's
they're not 9-4. They're not 9-4 because they don't have the type of running game that the Colts have. The Colts have a very different style of running game than the Jaguars. It's very, very different. Daniel Jones was reliant on that Jonathan Taylor running game the way it was set up. Daniel Jones is not as good as Trevor Lawrence. Simple as that.
You know who relies
on? He is, but he's not.
You know who relies on Jonathan Taylor? My fantasy team, and it's breaking my heart because he hasn't come out. It's been tough. I need those 30 points.
I told you. What did I tell you?
I need those 30 to 40 point games again. I almost traded them too at the deadline, and I was like, I'm just going to ride with it. On the other side of this, though, let's talk about Daniel Jones just a little bit and what the Colts are doing to try and figure out their quarterback room. Daniel Jones suffered a torn Achilles in that loss to Jacksonville. His season is over. He's a free agent at the end of the season. Let's stick with the Daniel Jones side of things first, and then we'll get into where the Colts go from here. I think we talk about Daniel Jones, and he had a resurgence this year in Indianapolis. He becomes a free agent at the end of the season. The Colts could franchise tag him. They could re-sign him. What would you do with Daniel Jones in the offseason?
Let him go. Because this is the tough situation that the Indianapolis Colts are going to be in. I'm not a believer in Daniel Jones. I don't think he's going to be a franchise quarterback. Did he do well for them? Absolutely. But he's not a franchise guy, which means you're not going to pay him franchise money. But guess what? Some team is going to pay Daniel Jones, and he's going to want $30, $40 million a year, whatever it is, maybe a little bit over $40 million a year to play quarterback. Some team probably going to pay him that. The Colts, they can't. They just cannot invest that in a guy that's not going to be a franchise quarterback. They're going to have to go draft one. And so they're in a tough spot here because if you franchise them, which you can't really do. You cannot pay Daniel Jones top 5 quarterback money. You just can't. Or you try to get him on a discount because of the injury. Maybe his value goes down a little bit. But think about this. He's coming off an Achilles. It's late in the season. He's not even going to be ready for off-season work. Is he going to be ready for training camp next year? Who knows how that rehab goes. This is his second major injury. I just think the Colts are in a tough spot now. I think you have to look at Daniel Jones and say, thank you for what you did for us this year, but we're going to have to move on and try to find a different option. I just don't think there's a way you can pay him, really do what you want to do offensively, in investing in a quarterback for your future while still keeping him. I just don't. I think you go get a cheaper option. You keep building your team around it, and you try to find somebody that can come in and maybe lightning can strike twice, and you can get a guy that's cheap.
Well, I think now is obviously it's a really tough time for the Indianapolis Colts where they had Super Bowl aspirations, playoff aspirations, and now this really kind of lowers that. But now you have Riley Leonard coming in, and I think this is a situation where you can come in and say, okay, we can see what Riley Leonard can do before we go into next season and say maybe he can be our guy. Obviously, there's not a lot of stock. When you look at Daniel Jones, would you give him a contract in between Geno and Sam Darnold if you're the Colts? If that's what he's asking for, the Geno Sam Darnold money. So Geno, $37.5 million per year deal with the Raiders. Sam Darnold, $33.5 average 2 years, 3-year type of deal.
Let me tell you this right now. First of all, Gino's overpaid. I'm going to be honest. He's way overpaid. Daniel Jones does not warrant even Sam Darnold money. Like in the NFL, I get it. You're looking for veterans that can play. The market next year is not very good.
No.
But maybe they can go trade for a younger guy that's on somebody's. If I'm Indianapolis, maybe I go call New Orleans and be like, hey, what's Spencer Rattler worth? Let me go get Spencer Rattler, who has some starting experience, who wasn't terrible at times. He played okay, and you're not going to have to pay him. So to me, I'd rather take that route. I cannot give Daniel Jones $40 million.
Nope.
He might want $40 million. Now, if he's willing to take 25, 30 to prove it, maybe I'm there, but I just can't give him. And then if he does that, he's not going to want to sign long term. So guess what? No. It's going to be another 1-year deal, right? Or a 2-year deal or something like that. And they're still going to have to draft one anyways. And then you still have the question marks of, is he going to be ready for the offseason? I just don't. I think the bigger question, how about this? Where does that set Anthony Richardson? Do they give him another look and say, you know what, we still have him? Is there an opportunity for us to maybe give him another look at quarterback now that he's kind of had to sit, matured a little bit maybe? Do you give another shot to Anthony Richardson and say we're going to give it one more try there while we draft somebody else? I don't know. I find this they're in a difficult spot.
Yeah, and I mean the other side of it is they don't have a first-round pick this year, and they don't have a first-round pick next year. And obviously their record and where they land at the end of the season, they're going to have a later.
That's why I said this Sauce Gardner trade was crazy. You can't give up your future for a DB when you don't even have your quarterback position solidified. And I don't care what anybody says. Daniel Jones was not the answer when you only had him for a 1-year deal. Like there was no way, unless they had already, and if they were already planning on signing him to a long-term extension, I don't know. I just felt like they just totally missed the mark here. And the injury is proving that move really could cost the Colts and it could set them back a few years.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the draft class, I mean, even with that second-round pick, you're looking at guys like Garrett Nussmeier, maybe a Lenore Sellers falls that far, looking at like a Drew Aller, you're looking at those types of guys later on, and I mean that's not
half the quarterback draft class might not even come out this year.
Yeah,
that's the other problem with this year's draft class is all those top guys that everybody's projecting to be maybe NFL guys all have opportunities to come back and play in college again, and specifically guys like Lenore Sellers who didn't finish really the way they wanted to finish, could maybe even raise their capital staying in college another year. It's just not a great setup for the Colts this year as one of the teams that is going to be really looking for a quarterback. They're not in a good position.
No. And where they're at now is bringing in a guy like Phillip Rivers, 44 years old, Phillip Rivers?
Hey, as crazy as it sounds, I would definitely rather have Phillip Rivers than
You'd rather have Phillip Rivers than Riley Leonard?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. That Phillip Rivers throw, Phillip Rivers could come in and still we watched Phillip Rivers take this team to the playoffs, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever it was. Don't discredit Phillip Rivers. That man, look, you know how many babies that man has? He's in great shape. I
saw a meme. He's been running 11 on 11 with his kids in the meantime while he's been retired. He's been running 11 on 11 with his kids.
It would not shock me if the Colts signed Phillip Rivers and he played very soon. I'm dead serious, and I don't know why, but I know people are not going to like it. But think about it. The quarterback position is different now. When you talk about having a veteran that's seen every defense possible, and you're really just trying to – if you're the Colts right now, your Super Bowl hopes have already gone. They're gone. I don't think they were ever there, but they were gone. They're gone now for sure, right?
Yeah.
So if you're the Colts, what are you trying to do? You're just trying to make the playoffs now. You're trying to say, let's not have this season.
I don't know. Waste. I don't think – I obviously agree with you. You're trying to make the playoffs. You're trying to make the playoffs.
They don't own their first round pick. Why would they tank?
No, I'm not saying tank, but I don't get, like, if I'm the Colts, I want to see what I have in Riley Leonard.
Why?
Because I need to know what I have. Because what?
Vinny,
Because
this is where you're. This is wait. This is where you're wrong.
No. Listen. Because if you bring in Phillip Rivers, what do you like? It's almost like I don't want to compare it to fantasy football, but I'm gonna compare it to fantasy football. It's like if you're a dynasty team and you like me, for example, if you're a dynasty team and you know you're not winning the Super Bowl, you know you're not winning the championship, you know if you bring in Phillip Rivers, you're still not winning the championship. I want to look towards the future here. I want to see what I have.
They don't have any draft picks.
But that's more of a reason to go in and say I need to see what Riley Leonard can do. Whether he fails, whether he doesn't fail, I need to see what Riley Leonard does.
You got to understand. They know what Riley Leonard can do. He's at practice every day.
What do you mean you know what he can do? He played one game. He didn't even start that game. He played one game.
Vinny, wait.
What are you learning from Phillip Rivers? What are you getting there?
Listen, this is where there's a big disconnect between people that are actually paying attention to what the NFL is. NFL 5th, 6th round picks are not drafted, especially quarterbacks, are not drafted to be the future. This is the big conversation about Shedeur Sanders and why he dropped and why everybody was complaining about why he wasn't getting on the field. When the Colts drafted Riley Leonard, they were not drafting Riley Leonard to come in and ever be a starter. That's not why you draft a quarterback that late or get a quarterback that late. That is not what you're doing. This is when you go get those reps in practice and the coaches are watching you every day. They know what you are. Guys like Chase Daniel, Case Keenum, all these guys that have spent years in the NFL, they are not designed to be future starting quarterbacks. Every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, you strike lightning in a bottle and you get Tom Brady. And this is what happens. Now, we sit there and think that every backup quarterback that comes in and has some success or plays well or possibly plays well is going to be some future. It just does not happen. The percentage, the chance, think about this. The chance of Riley Leonard being the future for the Indianapolis Colts is probably less than 1%. Can you name, listen to this. Let me finish. Out of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, if you look at the top 15 of them, how many of those guys were not drafted in the first 2 rounds?
There's not many.
So my point is they know what Riley Leonard is. They're in a situation where they don't have their future quarterback on the roster right now. They are in a position where they're currently in the postseason. So they want the best option that allows them to get the postseason now, and maybe something happens. That's the maybe. It's Riley Leonard playing right now and them losing 4 straight games because they know he's not good. What does that do for their team? Nothing. So at least the option of Phillip Rivers, or I'm not even specifically making this about Phillip Rivers, looking elsewhere for an option to come in and sustain this team and take this team to the postseason is what they're looking for. They don't believe in Riley Leonard. That's evident. Or you don't go call Phillip Rivers. There's a reason why they don't believe in him. They're watching him at practice. They've seen him in camp, and they got him where he was at in the draft for a reason. It's not because Riley Leonard is supposed to come in and be a starter ever. He's not. He'll never be a starter in the NFL.
I don't think that you draft him thinking that. But I think where you're at right now in the season with your quarterback situation, I would rather see what I have in Riley Leonard than throw out old ass Phillip Rivers to try and.
You know what you have. This you don't know because you don't watch him. You only seen him one game on the. You don't know what you have. They know what they have in Riley Leonard. That's the difference. We talk because we see one game on Sunday. They know what they have in Riley Leonard. There's a reason why he was drafted in the 6th round. There's a reason why he hasn't gotten any reps in practice, and when he does, it probably hasn't been very good. They know that. They didn't just wake up and call Phillip Rivers for no reason if they thought they had something in Riley Leonard. That's not something NFL teams do. They don't have why do you think most teams go and get a veteran backup? Guys that have been in the league a long time, that don't get much playing time, but when they come in, they know how to run an offense. It's not even that they're good talent-wise. They're just smart. They've seen defenses. They can do a little bit more than some of these young guys. Riley Leonard is not the future. That's the problem. They didn't draft him to be the future. They drafted him to come in, be a scout team guy, get reps in, and maybe 5 years down the road, when that rookie contract comes out, he can develop into a good backup. But a good backup is not the future. That's the problem. Cooper Rush was never the future. Case Keenum was never the future. Chase Daniels was never the future. You can't do that. You just can't do that. It's a very different situation than the Shedeur Sanders situation, who was projected to be a first-round pick. Things like that. That's a big difference. So I'm on board. Go get a guy that can win now, and you can't trade for anybody. So go get a guy that might be able to do something. I'd rather have Phillip Rivers under center right now than Riley Leonard.
I disagree. I'd rather give the shot, see what I have. Hopefully.
Yeah, Riley Leonard's just not. I'm sorry, not moving much for me.
I don't know if Phillip Rivers moves anything for me except for I don't know. He just doesn't move anything.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. If Tom Brady came out of retirement and he decided to join the Colts, would you have Tom Brady or would you have Riley Leonard?
Riley Leonard.
Glad you're not an NFL GM.
I just rather see what I have. I don't think it's worth.
So I want to get you to this. Hold on, I want to flip the script. Say Riley Leonard comes in, plays well for the next 3 to 4 games. Decent. I don't want to say great, but like decent enough. They win 2 out of 4, 3 or 4. They make the postseason, has a good playoff appearance. Then what?
He goes into next season
the starter?
Battling for a spot, battling for that QB1 job against someone that they brought in.
Who? So if Daniel Jones come back, is it a battle?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's a battle.
Get out of here.
All right. One more game to hit on before we get into week 15. Or 2 more games. We're going to make it quick. Bears-Packers. Packers defeated the Bears 28-21. Now hold sole possession of first in the NFC North. We talked about it a few weeks ago, Aaron, with the Chicago Bears, and you brought up a question for them.
No, I'm not a Chiefs fan, Patrick. I just love Patrick Mahomes.
The Lord and Savior, Patrick Mahomes. But you brought up a few weeks ago your concerns for the Chicago Bears not playing anyone so far this season and wanting to see what they can do against real opponents. Not necessarily saying they're a bad team, because you were on record praising what Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams have been able to do this season, but you wanted to see what they could do against a real team. Well, they lost 28-21. Josh Jacobs' late touchdown wins it for the Packers. They were in it this entire game. Caleb Williams, interception in the end zone with 22 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. Did you see enough from the Bears in this game to make you say, okay, I don't care that they haven't played anyone. This team is I don't want to say contender, but a reasonable threat in the playoffs?
Of course. I think we have to go 2 weeks ago because you were on vacation again and you decided to take some time off. I don't know why. In the middle of football season.
See the world.
Whatever. But I made those comments like a few days before they went up there and whooped Philly. So to be fair, they beat, and I'm not saying Philly's great. You know how I feel about Philadelphia, and they're broken and all that stuff. But they went and beat Philly on Black Friday, and then they come back and had the performance they did against Green Bay. And I thought the performance was pretty decent. The Packers, I do think, are better. But I think they've also been there before. The Bears are still learning how to win. Caleb is still growing. They're still finding their identity. And they battled in that game. And to me, it continues to show the culture that Ben Johnson has built. So I am more positive and trending up on the Bears than I was a few weeks ago when I was kind of saying, hold on, they haven't really beat the teams I wanted them to beat. And then you look at games like, okay, they beat the Steelers. And we know the Steelers have been kind of up and down. But I think that was without Aaron Rodgers, or Aaron Rodgers got hurt. So they've put together a couple weeks in a row where I've said, okay, this is the team that I think is trending in the right direction. Do I think they're a Super Bowl contender at this point? No. But what Ben Johnson has done specifically with this offense, and specifically, even more specifically, with the run game, you have to be encouraged. He has turned DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai into a lesser version of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Like, the way they're running the football, Caleb is continuing to make plays when it matters. Sometimes he's still a little off. His accuracy's been all over the place. But when the plays with his legs and when it matters, he's been able to make throws, and I've been encouraged by that. And this defense is opportunistic. They're not the best, but they football. what I've seen from the Bears. And they're coming scheduled the Browns, and then they get the Packers, Niners, and Lions at the end of the season. So they got a tough schedule. They got a tough schedule to stretch, and I think they're going to find enough in. And I think that's all we can ask for a year one.
Man, your connection took a hit not only on this, but on TikTok as well.
Oh, well, I don't know what happened there. I got a lot of power thing. I got like 4 computers in front of me, so
the internet's working hard.
Either way, I said I think that the Bears have enough this season to get to the playoffs, and I think that's all you can really ask for year one of Ben Johnson's system, and year 2 of Caleb Williams or whatever it is. So I think that's a positive sign and trending in the right direction.
They moved from the 1 seed in the NFC to the 7 seed with that loss.
I'm just
saying it's just how wide, how tight the NFC is with that playoff race. Green Bay
the
now
NFC North.
Yeah, Green Bay moves into the number 1 spot in the NFC North. They're 4-0 against NFC North teams this season. They were 1-5 last season against those such teams. They come out the winners here. Where are we at with the Packers after this type of win?
Love the Packers. I said it a few weeks ago. Everybody was on them because they lost to the Panthers. Panthers have shown to be a better football team. I just think that Green Bay, they've been there. Matt LaFleur does a really, really good job. They're starting to play better. Their receivers are getting healthy. Jaden Reed came back. And I know they don't have a standout receiver, but they have a lot of guys. When you talk about Jaden Reed and Romeo Dobbs and Dontavius Wicks and Matthew Golden and just like all these guys, Christian Watson really has come on big. And, I may have been 3-4 years too early on Christian Watson because he kept getting hurt. But I told you when he came out of the draft, like I really liked him. I think that this team is deep. They're obviously hurting without Tucker Kraft. The defense, Micah Parsons has made a difference because they have a closer now, guys that can get after the quarterback when they're up. This is a football team that's going to be a force to deal with. When Jordan Love doesn't turn it over, which he has done a good job of that, not doing that this year, they're a team they're a force to be reckoned with. So I really like what Green Bay is, and they're set up for a good spot now, especially if they can win their second game against the Bears and really take command of that division, because then they're looking at a top 2 seed pretty easily.
Yeah, they just play. Quick turnaround against. They play this week, and then next week 16 they play the Bears again, and that's going to be a massive
and a win. With Philly playing the way they're playing, it's almost a lock now that Green Bay is going to be a 2 seed if they can beat Chicago one more time. So if they beat that, they win that Chicago game, it's almost a lock. They're going to be a top 2 seed, and that matters. And with the Seattle and the Rams still battling it out for the NFC West, they might even be able to slide into that number 1 if they can finish strong. So
yeah. Well, let's talk about Philly here. They lost to the Chargers 22-19 in overtime.
Where are my Eagles fans at? They be eating me up. Eagles fans been eating me up about me saying they're broken. How am I wrong?
Jalen Hurts in this game on Monday against the Chargers became the first quarterback with 0 touchdowns and 5+ turnovers in a game since 2021. Can you guess that quarterback in 2021?
I can't, but what's even funnier is there was 2 of them on one play. So that was even funnier. 5 turnovers in a game with no touchdowns?
No touchdowns, 5 turnovers in a game. It happened in 2021.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Justin Fields.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Justin Fields. Career high 5 turnovers for Jalen Hurts.
A couple of them weren't his fault. I just will say they were tip passes. But he didn't play well. I do want to say that. He did not play well.
Yeah, no. And for the Eagles, this is their 3rd straight loss after starting the season 8-2. It's their longest losing streak since 2023. That game was pretty wild. 6 turnovers in the second quarter alone. That game was absolute bananas. But we have to talk about the Eagles because, like I said, lost 3 straight, starting the season 8-2, but they have really started to spiral. They have the 4th fewest points per game in the NFL since week 9. My thing, I don't want to catch you off guard here, but something that is alarming to me with this Eagles team, and it's noticeable, and we talked about it before, about the identity on offense and how they are just something's broken. in games they lose, Jalen Hurts is throwing it 30-plus times a game, and Saquon Barkley is hardly rushing 15 carries a game. Games that they win, Jalen Hurts is around 25 attempts, and then Saquon's around 20 carries a game.
Can I say
it's right? It's right there.
And I'm not trying to. This really has nothing to do with you, but I hear this a lot. You can do that for every team. Teams that are winning run the ball. Teams that are losing throw the ball. So like some of those are game script things, and I don't really love to just look at the end of a box score and say, "Oh, Jalen Hurts threw the ball 40 times, and they're losing." Well, yeah, some of that is by design. Some of that's 6 of those passes came late in the game, like one of the last drives. The other six more of those passes comes in overtime, like when they're down. So I just try not to look at a box score and say, "Oh, they're throwing the ball 40 times." I tend to more look at game script. Saquon Barkley ran the ball 20 times.
Yeah, he had a great game.
That's what I'm looking at. He touched the ball 20 times, 20 carries, 122 yards. I'm not going to sit here and say they didn't run the ball enough. I'm not going to sit here. The offense is broken. It's vanilla. It's predictable. I'm a podcaster / NFL sports director reporter or a sports reporter. I can watch the game and say what Philadelphia is going to do. I'm literally watching Monday Night Football or what it is, Monday Night Football. And I'm saying, oh, go ball to A.J. Brown. Slant A.J. Brown. Here's read option. Jalen. Like, I'm calling out the plays. I'm not, and this is without watching all 22 film. I didn't watch any of that this week. I'm not game planning for the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think defensive coordinators and defenses are doing? They're picking this offense apart. Yesterday was the first time Philadelphia in probably months I've seen even have any kind of motion in their offense. Finally tried to get some of that going on. Their offense is broken. Whether you want to blame that on Jalen Hurts or Kevin Patullo or the offensive line or Saquon Barkley or A.J. Brown or Nick Sirianni, I don't care who you blame it on. The offense is broken. It is broken. They don't have a good rhythm. They're disjointed. They lead the league in like 3 and outs. The offense is broken. I don't know how to fix it. I'm not in that building, but you can't watch them week after week after week do the same exact thing over and over and over again and say everything's okay, that they're going to figure it out. Something is broken. Something is broken. The only positive I'm going to give you from Philadelphia is the remaining schedule. That's the only positive, because right now, if they had a tougher remaining schedule, I would literally pick Dallas to win the division. Oof. But because of the schedule, I think Philly's going to get enough wins to hold on to the division. But other than that, like it doesn't look good. It does not look good. Literally, the Cowboys could go 10-6-1 if they went out. If Philly loses 2 games, they would lose the division. But their schedule, I think, is in their favor, and I think that's the saving grace for them. They don't have a tough schedule. The Bills lost, maybe, right? Outside of that, it would have to come from the Commanders, one of the games from the Commanders, or the Raiders.
They could end up splitting that game, splitting one of the Commanders. I mean, there's a real chance.
Daniels banged up. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying that's the only thing in their favor. If you would give them some of these other team schedules down the stretch, they would be hurting. So I think based on their schedule alone, I do think they hold off. I'm not even concerned, or I'm not even sure that the Cowboys went out. But if the Cowboys went out, I would definitely be concerned if I'm a Philly fan. They can't go into the playoffs playing like this, or they're going to be one and done either way. Yeah,
I agree. Let's move into Week 15, and really, I want to talk about Shador Sanders.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Hey, man.
Would you rather have Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott?
I've always been I've been a Dak Prescott fan more than I've been.
I just asked you a simple question. Just answer the question.
I've always been a Dak Prescott guy, so Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Because I think
that's a topic of conversation people bring up, and I think we get convoluted and he doesn't win, and he didn't win a Super Bowl, and he didn't this and that. As a quarterback, I just look at the quarterback position. I say, which quarterback would I rather have for my football team? If all things were created equal, would I rather have Jalen Hurts throwing the football and running my offense, or would I rather have Dak Prescott? I think that's a conversation that a lot of people have, and I think we try to pull from the outside when we have those conversations and pick and choose which things we feel are important. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for a quarterback, I just was curious as who you would rather have. I would also rather have Dak Prescott, obviously. But I also never have been a huge fan of Jalen Hurts. I think he's a winner. I think he's a winner, but I used to think he was a great leader. But now that's being questioned a lot in Philly. So I don't know. I'm obviously not around him. But I just think that's one of those conversations that we tend to parse out little things that we want to pick and choose from. And I just thought I wanted to hear your answer. So.
I lean Dak. I think I lean Dak. One other thing about Week 14 that I just wanted to get your thoughts on.
Hold on. Who's Dad of 3, 1986? I don't know who this is. But I am still on TV. Yes, I'm still on TV. I work at a local station in Georgia. I podcast on Tuesday afternoons before I go in. And then I'll do my TV stuff later. But yes. Dad of 3, 1986. I can't see who it is, but let's see who's that. Oh, that's Angel. What up, Angel? Yep,
who?
I'm still on TV. I'm Angel, one of my
Is that the guy in the league?
one of my boys from SAC from Cal.
Okay.
But yeah, I am still on TV out here. I take some time to do my podcasting thing with this guy right here. Appreciate it. Come back to SAC and take over. Hey, it's crazy. He says, come back to SAC and take over Dale Rogers. I got so many texts when Dale Rogers is like a local sportscaster. He retired. And everybody's sending me, hey, Dale Rogers is retiring. Dale Rogers is retiring. Look, Angel, I'll be honest, man. I have no interest in coming back to Cali. Zero.
Damn.
Zero. I mean, I'm living pretty good out here in Georgia. I get to do what I want. I cover big time SEC football and NFL, and
he's coming up to work with me in a little bit. Okay,
and there's a chance I might be eventually going up to north. So love Cali, love Cali. I love all my folks out there. Don't plan on coming back though. I will be out there December 19th though.
Oh,
going on a trip.
Mark it on the calendars. Signing autographs at your local.
Unlike Vinny, I'm still going to be on the pod. Like I'll find a way.
I was literally in the middle of the ocean. My connection would have been worse than yours.
You had enough to text me at least once.
I did. I was so disconnected.
You could have went on the island in the Dominicans, found some Wi-Fi, and we could have did the podcast.
And then get robbed? Yeah, that's what's happening.
Oh my God, you're so scary.
All right.
Let's
start wrapping things up here. Moving things forward. Shedeur Sanders, 364 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, an interception in the game against the Titans. He looked good. I think a lot of people still miss the fact that they lost to the Titans. Everyone wants to blow up what Shedeur did, which is great. Still lost. What are your impressions of Shedeur Sanders?
There you go. Picking and choosing what matters. We win and matter now. I mean, you're just picking and choosing.
What? Well, what am I picking and choosing?
Are we going to talk about Shedeur's performance, or are we going to talk about whether the Browns lost or not?
I'm just saying that
the Browns defense gave up 31 points.
You're right. I'm just saying all of this hype around Shedeur Sanders may get brought down a little bit because of the loss. But what are your impressions? Tell me what your thoughts were on Shedeur Sanders. He also gets named the starting quarterback for the rest of the season, by the way. That also,
which is long overdue. Let's be honest. It should have been.
Yes.
It should have been really since before Dylan Gabriel. But I get it.
It should have been week 1.
Well, they had to give Dylan Gabriel the opportunity because they drafted him in the 3rd round. That I agree with. Once they did that, they were kind of forced to put Dylan Gabriel in first. But honestly, I thought Shedeur played decent. I'm not going to go crazy because I thought he had a good game, but there were times where he could have been better. I love the way he used his legs. I think that was a little bit of an underrated tool of his coming out of college because he didn't do it much there. But there's one thing Shedeur is, and Shedeur can throw the football accurately. I mean, there were some times he put it in some tight windows around the goal line to Harold Fannin. And I think that's always been a strength of his. And he's very calm, cool, and collected. He has a quarterback's mannerisms. And I think those things, the intangibles, I guess you can say, are important. His teammates are kind of buying in. And I think that matters. You talk a lot about connection and chemistry and like when you got your love connection and all that stuff, when you got the defensive players talking about people starting to buy in and he's kind of just been a certain type of guy, I think that matters. Because let's look at the Browns' deficiencies. Their offensive line is not great. They're struggling to run the football, but they're force feeding Quinshon Judkins a lot of games. They had to throw the ball a lot more in this game than I think they wanted to, because really Judkins couldn't get going. And Tennessee took the lead. But I think you have to be encouraged overall with Shadour's performance. He bounced back from a bad interception. He threw 3 touchdowns. I thought some of the ball placements were really good, and he battled late. But I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Kevin Stefanski's got to go. Kevin Stefanski has got to go. You have an opportunity. What in the hell was that 2-point conversion play? The man just drove down the field, get you a touchdown. Why not just ride that? You have to have another 2-point play. Instead, you limit your options. You put the ball in Quinshon Judkins' hands, which I actually have no problem with, like leaning on Judkins. But to do it in the way he did, I would have rather had you power, turn around, hand it off to Judkins, say, go get me 2 yards. But instead, you have him in 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, running out flare. Is he supposed to toss it? Is he not? You put the decisions in his hands. He's not a quarterback. Where's he going to throw it? Does he throw it? Does he? Yeah. Stefanski's got to go, bro. Stefanski's got to go. I know he's the 2-time coach of the year. He's really blown it. He's really, really blown it. The only thing he did right was after the game or this week, naming Shador the starter for the rest of the season, just to get it over with and say, look, he's played it well enough. I don't know if he's trying to save his job. I don't know what he's doing, but that 2-point conversion play, that was rough.
Yeah, it was. And I think he is trying to that's where we're at right now with Kevin Stefanski. Shador Sanders becomes the second rookie in the Super Bowl era with 350-plus pass yards, 3+ passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown in a game. That other rookie, Joe Burrow, first quarterback in Browns history with that same stat line in a game ever. I mean, this is a big game for Shador Sanders, taking a step in the right direction. He has been named a starting quarterback for the rest of the season, so we'll see how he can see what he can do to finish out the season. Yeah, this is a win for the Shador Sanders fans and believers. Aaron, I got to start wrapping things up here. I want to get into your power rankings here before we get out. You'll see it at the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Let's go over it here. There it is. You got the Rams at 1, the Broncos at 2, the Seahawks at 3, the Packers at 4, the Bills at 5, Patriots at 6, Bears at 7, Texans at 8, Jaguars at 9, and then at number 10, you have the Detroit Lions. Everyone kind of got on you when you didn't have the Eagles at number 1 a few weeks ago. Now you don't even have the Eagles on the list.
They're broken. The Eagles are broken. They're not a top 10 team. Even if you just looked at it and said, I'm going to be unbiased. What are the top 10 records in football? They're not in there. They're not a top 10 team. They're not ranked in the top 10. They're not a top 10 football team. I get it. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They are not a top 10 football team.
Elsewhere on this list, at 5, you have the Bills, and at 6, you have the Patriots. When you see and look at those two teams, you got the 9-4. You got the 9-4 Bills ahead of the 11-2 Patriots. Now, I don't mean to call you the CFP committee here, but if you have records matter for the Eagles, why don't records matter?
No. I didn't say record matters.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
Okay.
But you do have some explaining to do with this Patriots.
Yeah, I figured that would be a question. It really has nothing to do with the record. It has everything to do with what I feel is Superman, and that's Josh Allen. And I told you that I'm a big – if you have the one guy in the league that's better than everybody else, I tend to just go with you a little bit more. And this will play out over the next couple of weeks. Power rankings are – they're kind of fluid. They change from week to week. Obviously, the Bills already lost to the Patriots. Can't deny that. But that was also earlier in the season. It was a 3-point game. The Patriots have won 10 straight. They're playing well. I would like to see what happens this week, and then I'll go from there. But I have a feeling that Buffalo's going to win. And we've seen Superman Josh Allen against the Bengals. We've seen Superman Josh Allen. We saw it against the Bucks. They've won 3 of the last 4. They're only lost with the Texans, and Texans kind of made him look silly, but the Texans have made almost every quarterback look silly this year. So I just give their defense credit. I don't think the Bills are – I said this a few weeks ago. I don't think the Bills are a great football team. I don't know that they can win a Super Bowl. What I do know is they have a guy that can put on a cape and win any game that he plays. And so that keeps them right around 4, 5, 6. They're always going to be there because they have that guy that can do that. And what's different between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and even though I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, Josh Allen his legs are different than Mahomes. Mahomes runs when he needs to, like 3rd and 6. Josh Allen can go for 40-yard touchdown like a running back at any given time, and then he can throw 5 touchdowns. It's just different play style. But Josh Allen is literally just Superman, and Josh Mahomes, that's what he's playing like right now. And so I just give him the edge over the Patriots because I think this week in a must-win game, I think he's going to find a way to get it done. Now, if he doesn't, obviously my rankings will change, and I'll give the Patriots a lot of credit. But I said this last week or 2 weeks ago, the Patriots haven't played enough for me. They haven't beat enough good teams, and it's not their fault. They can only play, who's in front of them, but they just haven't played enough good quality opponents for me. I'm still looking on their schedule, and the only win that I'm like, man, that was a good win, if you look at it now, is Buffalo. The Bucs was okay, but they haven't played. We've seen what they've done.
We're starting to see the true colors from the Bucs.
There's just no really good wins on there. Like I'm just looking for a team. They haven't played teams like the Packers, the Lions. They don't have a win against the Chargers, the Broncos. Like they haven't played any of those teams that are top teams in the NFL, and they really will not have that opportunity to do so. They play Buffalo this week. They're playing a Baltimore team that's not really good next week, and then they get the Jets and the Dolphins. So until the postseason, they're not going to see any of those teams. So I worry about that not being battle tested as much as they should be. But you have to give the Patriots credit. They are, they've won 10 straight. They're leading the division, the number 1 seed, or fighting for the number 1 seed. So I'm not going to take that away from them. But I want to see them get it done again this week against the Bills.
Yeah, I think these 2 weeks here are definitely. I give Baltimore a little bit more credit. I think Baltimore is a decent team. I don't think Baltimore
is not good.
Okay, fair.
They're not good. It's the same conversation you have to have about the Chiefs. They're not good right now. Like Baltimore and the Chiefs are not good. We are so accustomed to these teams being good that we want to keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. But the fact of the matter is they had a 5-game win streak in there with Lamar not even playing, by the way, like in some of that stuff. And they were against not good teams, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns, the Jets.
I think a win over Baltimore in prime time next week will be a good win. That'll move into a good win for the Patriots for me.
I will give them that. Yeah. That would be a decent one.
Yeah. All right. I got to start wrapping things up because I got to get out of here. If we want, you and I can come back here later tonight, maybe talk more week 15. We'll discuss. But for now, I do have to dip.
That's okay. I know. Go walk your dog. Go do your thing. It's okay. I got to get out of here too. I got some stuff I got to take care of at the job. I might be back on later tonight, talk some fantasy football. So maybe we'll jump on that and talk some fantasy football.
Yeah, we'll start working in more fantasy football because it seems like that's what people want.
Well, when I post a live and I put fantasy football Q&A, waiver wire ads or something, it gets lit. So we'll might do some of that. But yeah, other than that, welcome back, Vinny. I'm happy to see you. I'm glad you're back to the grind, working again. Not all of us can go on world tours and vacations and stuff. We ain't got it like that.
Just call him Mr. 305. I'm worldwide.
Mr. 305. On that note, okay. Everybody on TikTok, make sure you guys like, subscribe. Go follow the podcast on Sac City Podcast, and then make sure you follow here. We're going to talk more fantasy football, obviously, later this week. And as we enter the fantasy football playoffs, peace out.
And those on YouTube, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
We know we were nom 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 nom.